you's a big old bitch. Talking about your heart ain't never been broke. But every song you talking about your heart broke. A cap rapper.
What's up, everybody? This is the world famous Ed Lover, and you are watching Forgotten Kings TV. That's right, Forgotten Kings TV. Come on, son.
Oh, man, getting ready. You know, it's a young nigga birthday. Hey, Boosie, man, you need to cut that shit out, man. You talking about letting it go. I ain't letting shit go. No, you a hoe. And you broke my heart threatening a lawsuit. Acting like a bitch, acting like one of these hoes or something. You threaten with a lawsuit. You threaten to take to court like a police. Like you, what the I knew from the jump. I had sampled so many of Trill found the record label property. I sampled so much and interpolated so much of their music. I already had a relationship with your label. I knew from the jump you didn't own the music. So when I reached out and I offered you $100,000, fam, you said that wasn't enough. You got me fucked up. I ain't going for nothing. Ain't nobody finna be pressing me. You go to court, you a bitch. You a hoe. Nigga. Ain't no gangster, you ain't nothing. You try to take a nigga to court.
Boy, shut your big ass up, boy. You done took 15 music and made a career out of it. Boy, you a straight bitch. Yeah, let's talk about it. You done took 20 music and made a motherfucking career out of it. Boy, you's a big old bitch. Talking about your heart ain't never been broke. But every song you talking about your heart broke. You a cap rapper. You got the whole world saying for nothing. Shut your bitch ass up, clown ass. Talking about you looked up to. What the f you looking up to? And you ain't never done nothing like these niggas. Boy, you a bitch. You done took everybody's shit. You a Muppet baby. Big ass.
Uh-oh. We got Boosie going back and forth with Rod Wave on social media after Rod Wave made some comments about Boosie in his recent Club Shay Shay interview. According to Rod Wave, he said he was heartbroken after finding out about Boosie threatening to sue him over an uncleared music sample. Okay, now of course, Rod Wave says he tried to settle everything outside of the courtroom by offering Boosie $100,000 up front. However, Boosie was not feeling it and automatically countered, asking for $200,000 up front and a 25% share of the song's future publishing proceeds. Okay, at that moment, Rod Wave says he felt like Boosie was trying to get over. Okay, now, listen, I remember hearing Rod Wave around COVID, right? A lot of people speaking about his music, and it seemed like the boy was on fire. I'm gonna be real, out of nowhere, okay? So, you know, salute to Rod Wave and everything he's been able to accomplish. However, he already has a reputation of sampling artists, right? Or re-recording their lyrics, right, within his songs. So, you know, it creates this slippery slope, if you will, because, listen, let's be clear. He's one of the only artists alongside Taylor Swift to debut a solo album at #1 on the Billboard 200 chart for 3 consecutive years. So this is what I mean about he was on fire out the gate, okay? From 2021, 2022, and 2023, okay? He has a loyal fan base, right? He's out here selling out arenas. The man is, you know, made a way for himself. You get what I mean? But it's no way around it. You know what I mean? If you want to have a long-lasting career in the business, you have to understand the business, right? And a lot of our artists were taken advantage of by these labels. You know what I mean? So someone like Boosie, I don't think he's wrong for asking what he's asking for, right? He's trying to, you know, secure his legacy because he understands his kids are going to be the one that reaps the benefit, you know what I mean, of his labor. So it's interesting that somehow Rod Wave feels as though Boosie is trying to get over. However, he has to do his homework and understand how a sample could ruin everything, right? He don't know. he might want to do his Googles. He might want to do his research because, again, we've seen it. This is why Boosie said he's smart enough not to sample on Michael Jackson or Marvin Gaye because you're going to get smoked. They're going to put a stop on everything. They don't play. You know what I mean? And rightfully so. These are the legends who help, you know, build the industry. You see individuals, you know what I mean, such as a Rod Wave and others thriving in. Nothing wrong with that, right? And sampling when it comes to hip-hop, to be real, that's always been a part of the culture. However, if you do your homework, you'll find out that some of the first musicians who were sampled in hip hop, they never got their credit or just due, right? So this is why someone like a Boosie, he's smart enough to understand the business. It's not about right now. That 100,000 don't mean shit right now. When the groceries are through the roof, the prices, everything is expensive right now. So he's seeing bigger picture years down the line. And for him to have these demands, I don't think Boosie's being unreasonable. I really don't. I think this is a matter of Rod Wave educating himself about the music business. And you can't say you have a great deal of respect for artists like a Boosie and others if you're not willing to do business the right way. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Now, Rod Wave, you might not get it today, but who's to say someone might, years down the line, sample your music and feel like, you know what, I don't have to pay him for that. Now you'll find yourself sounding like Boosie, right? So y'all let me know. What are your thoughts on this back and forth between Boosie and Rod Wave? I watched some of the interview on Club Shay Shay, the comparison of Rod Wave being this generation's Jay-Z. And he seemed very humble in his response. You know what I mean? Of course, social media, they went crazy, on that video itself just off of the headline. But the point is, you want to be respected, you got to do business the right way. And the way I view the situation, I don't think Boosie's wrong for asking, for $200,000 up front and 25%, of the future publishing proceeds of the records that you're using. That's just good business. It is what it is. Like I said, we've seen artists in the past, they come out with a smash hit, but because they didn't clear that sample, all of the momentum in the music went straight back to the original artist. So again, for those, who may not know how this music business works, this is why now you have to take matters into your own hand. You can't just be an artist anymore. You have to be business minded as well. So y'all let me know. What are your thoughts on this back and forth involving Boosie and Rod Wave? Who do you think is in the right? Who do you think is in the wrong? Again, the way I feel, it's as if Rod Wave has to educate himself about the music business, but I could be wrong. So y'all let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But with that being said, that's all I got for y'all today. Again, my name is Sensei Rip. Till next time, peace. Salute world, I need y'all to do me a favor right now and check out this amazing poetry book by author Linwood Jackson Jr. titled Becoming, Wrestling with Life. All right, available right now at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. But if you want to order your copy today, make sure to hit the link in the description. All right, recently Linwood Jackson Jr. sat down on Conversations with Rip, and we had an interesting dialogue about religion versus spirituality in 2026. So if you want to check out the full interview, make sure to hit the link in the description. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for supporting the platform. And if you're interested in promoting your business, your brand, your book, music, listen, hit us up at Forgotten Kings TV. That's with a Z at gmail.com. And listen, we can have that conversation today. All right, again, appreciate the support, but let's get back to the clip.
Pain is necessary, but at the same time, I think it depends on what you do with that pain. Because as a writer, I love to write in a state of emotional dreariness. Emotion is necessary for art. Any kind of art, you need to be able to sense a loss of yourself in order for that art to shine in the beauty that it's supposed to be. And I don't think that's just held to art. I think that that's held to everything. And I think that if a society and a culture and a community of a culture and society has been so beat down and felt pain and has yet to do anything about that collectively, I think that that pain has become a source of something else than what it needs to be, or that pain has been somehow structurally conceived to be defined in a way to where it can be a coping mechanism. We're going to cope through this pain now, and we're going to have this as our story, our continuing epic, but at the same time, the revelation of the necessary pain and alleviation from pain never taking place, one has to question what pain actually is to be defined as to such a community.